The upcoming summer transfer window will be crucial for Arne Slot's tenure at Anfield. Transitioning from the Eredivisie to the Premier League is no easy feat, and the challenge is even greater when stepping into the shoes of a legendary figure like Jurgen Klopp at a club like Liverpool. The Dutchman will need all the support he can get from the fans, the players themselves, and especially the board and management. That's our main focus for today's video. We'll explore how Liverpool can have the perfect summer transfer window to provide Slot with the optimal conditions to thrive. We'll cover everything from players the club should consider offloading to the positions that need attention and potential transfer targets for each role. Plus, we have a hidden gem for a position everyone wants to see strengthened. But before we do get into it, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more Liverpool deep dives. If you've followed our channel for a while, you'll know we usually discuss potential signings and targets for the club. But what about the outgoings? With both Joel Matip and Thiago leaving as free agents, Liverpool needs to sell some players to balance the books and reinvest in other areas. But let's hold that thought for a second because we want to talk about a player that the club should keep. We're talking about Kelleher. The Irishman stepped up massively last season, filling in for the injured Alisson and proving he has the skills and mental fortitude to be a regular starter for a top club. At 25, it's understandable he might be looking for new opportunities to advance his career. However, selling him would be a huge mistake, and here's why. Other clubs see him as a Liverpool second choice and might try to lowball the Reds with offers, like Nottingham Forest's £15 million bid last January. But in reality, Kelleher is worth at least double that amount. Accepting low offers would mean losing out on future profits, as his value is bound to rise. But money isn't the only issue. Selling Kelleher would mean losing a homegrown player, which is crucial for meeting the Premier League and UEFA squad's registration requirements. Teams must have a certain number of homegrown players in their squad, and losing Kelleher would shrink Liverpool's pool of eligible homegrown talents. This would add an unnecessary complication for Liverpool in the transfer market. They'd not only need to find a quality goalkeeper willing to sit on the bench, but also ensure he's homegrown to comply with the regulations. The club clearly wants to keep Kelleher, as Fabrizio Romano has reported, but the decision now lies with the goalkeeper himself. Who knows, maybe he'll stay for another year under Slot to see if he can prove himself once again. Keeping Kelleher would be a significant victory for Liverpool in the transfer market, as it would eliminate the need to search for a new second choice goalkeeper, and that's why the Reds must do their best to pursue Kelleher to stay for at least another season. Now that we've covered that, let's explore players who need to be sold to make way for new signings, free up wages, or add funds to the transfer budget. Did you know that going into the transfer window, Liverpool have 7 different centre-backs available? It doesn't make sense, does it? If the club has options in that position, then why explore the market for a new defender? Well, out of those 7 players, only 4 can regularly start at the heart of Liverpool's defence. Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, João Quansah and Joe Gomez. Considering Gomez often played as a fullback last season, that effectively leaves the club with just 3 central defenders. So who are the other players? First, there's 22-year-old Sepp Vandenberg, who's been out on loan at Bundesliga side Mainz. This has been his 3rd loan spell away from Anfield, and still doesn't seem close to challenging for a place in the first team. Don't get us wrong, Sepp had a fairly decent campaign in Germany, becoming a regular starter for Mainz. However, it feels like he's not ready to make that jump up to the Red senior squad. After all these loan spells, it makes sense to part ways with a young player, especially with the contract running out in 2 years. Additionally, it's the perfect time to cash in on Vandenberg, whose value jumped to €12 million by the end of this season. The other 2 players are centre-backs who stepped up massively during the Reds' catastrophic injury crisis in the 2020-2021 campaign. The first is Nat Phillips, who excelled during that period. However, he has since slipped down the pecking order and been loaned out 3 times. At 27 years old, it's clear that Phillips has no chance to play regularly for the Reds. The club would be fortunate to receive a fee equal to €3.5 million market value. The same goes for Reece Williams, who hasn't featured for the senior team since 2021. You might think we're contradicting ourselves, advocating to keep Kelleher because he's a homegrown talent, while suggesting selling both Phillips and Williams. However, it's totally different. Kelleher adds significant value to the side, while Phillips and Williams have combined for just 5 appearances in 2021. So it's time to try and cash in on both players. It'll be tough to get around €5 million based on their market value, but it's worth trying. Plus, there are academy players like Lee Jonas eager to take their chance within the first team. This leaves us with 4 centre-backs, or 3 if we exclude Joe Gomez, which is why the club is searching for a new defender this summer. So we have 2 options for you. Our top choice is Gonçalo Inácio. Sure, there are questions about the Portuguese defender's physicality and whether he can adapt to the Premier League. There are some concerns about his ability to play at a back 4, given he has spent most of his professional career in a back 3 under Amorim at Sporting Club de Portugal. But hear us out, we're going to explain why he's our best option. Inácio is one of the best defenders when it comes to progressing the ball, whether through his passing or carrying, which is evident in the high percentiles he ranks in these metrics. Regarding his ability to play in a back 4, we believe it won't be an issue. At Sporting, Inácio plays as a left-sided centre-back. When the left wing pushes high, he's tasked defending wide areas. This means he'll fit perfectly on the left side to cover the space behind Robertson when he bombs forward. And yes, it's his left foot that made us pick him over his teammate Ousmane Diomande. The club currently has no left-footed centre-back, which might be an issue in certain games, especially when trying to build out from the back. As for his physicality, Inácio is still just 22 years old and can put on more muscle and steadily adapt to the intensity and physicality of the Premier League. Now for our budget-friendly option, we believe there's no better choice than Gertrude. But hold on, if he's so good, then why is he considered so cheap? Well, the player is valued at 32 million euros, and the Reds might even be able to get him for less than that. This is mainly because his contract is expiring next year, which will force Feyenoord to sell rather than lose him for a free. Gertrude can play as a centre-back, right-back, left-back, and even as a number 6 when needed, giving the managers multiple solutions throughout the season. Now, if you want us to delve deeper into Gertrude's player profile, let us know in the comments below, and we'll make sure we provide a detailed analysis on the player. So if the club manages to sell Van der Berg, Phillips and Williams while bringing in a new left-footed defender who is technically capable of progressing the ball, that would be the second win this transfer window. As for fullbacks, we believe this position should not be prioritised, at least not this window. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Connor Bradley provide enough depth on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, Robertson and Tsimikas can alternate. It's true that the Greek is yet to fully impress for the Red, but he has shown at times with a proper run of games he can provide quality to the team, so he might deserve one more season under the new manager. By selling the mentioned players, the club can generate around 20 to 25 million euros, which can help offset the cost of Inácio's release clause of 60 million euros. Now, let's move up the pitch to midfield. Fortunately, the club won't need another overhaul like last summer. In fact, Arne Slot has a wealth of midfielders to choose from. This abundance might be why we think a certain young player could be sold, as he'll probably struggle to get any minutes with all the players available. We're talking about 21-year-old Fabio Carvalho. The young Portuguese will face intense competition for the attacking midfielder role. Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister, Harvey Elliott and Ryan Gravenberch can all play there, not to mention the potential use of Mo Salah in that position. Yes, Carvalho impressed during his loan spell at Hull City, scoring 9 goals and providing 2 assists, but can he compete with all the names we mentioned? We really doubt it. Sure, the club could send him out on another loan spell, but given the youth and talent of the other players, he will likely still struggle to secure a starting spot next year. Currently valued at 14 million euros, the club could at least make a small profit by selling him and use the funds to acquire another player capable of playing in Arne Slot's double pivot. Yes, we don't think the club should be targeting a traditional number 6. Typically, Slot would want a player who can impact all phases of play, from initiating build-up to disrupting opposition play, and even influencing the attacking third. That's why our top choice for this area is Atalanta's Ederson. We recently released a dedicated video about his abilities both in and out of possession, so make sure to check it out. Now we get it, some of you might prefer a natural number 6, which would make perfect sense if the club decided to go for such a player. So for our budget-friendly option, we've identified a hidden gem from the Bundesliga valued at only 7.5 million euros. Eric Martel, the 22-year-old defensive midfielder from FC Köln, is our pick. You might be wondering, who the hell is he? Well, let us introduce you to him. Martel stands at 6'1" tall and is a typical defensive midfielder who excels in providing cover and putting in tackles. Some would even say he is the next Paulina or Fabinho type of player. He ranks in the high percentiles among other midfielders in the top 5 European leagues for tackles, interceptions and blocks. Additionally, he is dominant in the air, winning 2.56 aerial duels per 90 minutes. If you need further proof, check out out how highly he ranks in these defensive metrics compared to other Bundesliga midfielders. Now, some might have questions about Martel's in-possession qualities, but you can't judge too harshly as Köln were one of the worst teams at keeping the ball. Still, his pass completion rate of 81.1% is pretty decent. So as long as the club decides to bring in a box-to-box midfielder like Edison or a natural number 6, that would be our third win in the summer transfer window. Now let's move to the final part and area of today's video, the attack. Believe it or not, we think the attack is the least area that needs addressing. Bringing in a defender and a midfielder should be prioritized before looking at the front line. We also believe there's no forward that needs to be sold, and yes, that includes Cody Gakpo. It's true that the Reds struggled with strange misses last season, which impacted the title run. However, the players currently available in the squad are more than good enough to carry the front line next season. But the club might need to make some moves if certain scenarios unfold. Take Luis Diaz for example. The Colombian has been linked with moves to top Spanish clubs, and if the right offer comes in, we doubt the club would refuse to part ways. On the other side of the pitch, despite reports suggesting that his preference is to remain at Anfield, Saudi clubs might come in with an astronomical offer for Mo Salah. At 32 years of age, it would be challenging to refuse such a deal. Now let's assume that Diaz stays while Salah leaves for an astronomical fee. The club will then need to make a statement by signing at least one marquee attacking player. For this, we don't have two options, because if Salah leaves, there's no way the club should replace him with a budget option. Our pick is obvious, Mohamed Kudus. He would cost the club at least 100 million euros, especially reports suggesting that his Hammers release clause won't come into effect this summer. If Salah leaves, Kudus can be the marquee signing, not only because of the hefty transfer fee, but also because he's one of the biggest talents in the Premier League. From taking on defenders to being a pressing monster, we've discussed everything that makes Kudus so good in a special video, so make sure you watch it. Now, if Luis Diaz leaves while Salah stays, that would at least bring in 60 million euros to the club. And just like with Salah, if Diaz leaves, we don't think the club should opt for a cheap player. For the best possible pick, we really wanted to say Rafael Leao. He's arguably one of the best left wingers in the world, but it isn't a realistic pick, is it? So we decided to go with another player from the same league, and while it might sound ridiculous, the club might be able to pull it off if they want to. Hear us out. We're talking about Ynwa Kvaratskhelia. With Antonio Conte taking over at Napoli, rumours of the Jurgen wanting a move have started to spread. If he forces a move, and considering his performances dipped last season, the player is an absolute magician, able to take on his markers with ease and combine on the edge of the area to split opposition defences apart. Yes, a deal might be challenging, but it's a lot more realistic than going for our preferred player, Leo. Again, we don't think the club should prioritise attacking players. However, in the case of Diaz or Salah's departure, there must be a marquee signing to provide Slot with what he needs, a player who can unlock games on his own. That's exactly what Kudus and Kava are capable of doing. To sum it up, here's how the club will win the transfer window. First, keep Kelleher by retaining the Irishman. The club won't need to spend on a second choice goalkeeper. With the available options on the market, there's no one better than him, right? Then the club should bring in a left-footed centre-back, preferably Inacio. In the meantime, players like Van der Berg, Williams, and Phillips should be sold. Third step should be strengthening the midfield. The club needs to bring in a player suitable for Arne Slot's double pivot. Our choice is Edison. If not, a cheaper number 6 like Eric Martel could be a solution. Finally, a marquee signing must be made if Diaz or Salah depart. Kudus or Kvaratskhelia are top choices to fill in those potential gaps. That's how the Reds can win the transfer window and provide the best possible squad for Slot to work with. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with the players we suggest selling and buying? Do you think addressing the attack should be a priority? What about Eric Martel? Do you think the club should target him or a similar profile? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. That brings us to the end of today's video. As always, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Liverpool deep dives. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time. Take care.